Okay, as I said, we will speak with our native language. Then after, the brother will translate into English. Are you getting us?
Yes.
Okay. O pongombo wa mbwa pongo wa. O pongombo wa mbwa pongo wa. O pongise mbo wa mbwa pongise wa. O tese mbo wa mbwa etese wa. Ndebiana o ma tese mbo wa. Wangame bianje mbo wa. Mbo wa nyisonde kaneni nyambe momene eno. Nika indina. Ben mbo wa ntilele. Dobene pembo wa ndimsi.
So this is to say, you build up you participate, you build up the community builds you up back, and the community is made up of a visible aspect and also an invisible part.
Mbowa ntelele na mbowa ndimsi, mbowa ndimsi ndeni alonge mbowa ntelele. Osilongi temo ndimsi, osimende kusane moto lambu o ntelele. Kaneni muna aya beno o awano o muititi mwadibum. Kaneni muna aja no o muititi biana apo o mwaye. Kaneni bulu wa sele no bunya biana bunya mwempe wa ale nyolo.
So before you have the visible part, you first have the invisible. The invisible rules the visible. So as you have the child in the womb of his mother, before you see the born baby, the unseen precedes the visible. So if you don't prepare first, if you're not prepared, if the invisible is not well prepared, don't expect to have something on the visible aspect of the world.
Ndimsi sonde esele, ndimsi nde sele, ndimsi nde emanie, ndimsi nde ewu oboso, nyana bakwari na ube baedi, pona longari boteno, muititi nde muta, demo muititi mwena mwa sobe umangamba, muta nde muititi mwa lunge, musita muititi mwena musibento lambo, wa plasote olonga lambo, wa plate olonga mboa, wa plate longa ekwadi, wa buchandemo ondimsi, biana umalanemo ontelele.
So as stated before, the invisible rules the visible. Before you want to, if you expect to have to get something in the visible, in the visible reality, you get to prepare it first in the invisible. And before we get the daylight, we first have the night. And before
Yasoya di bala oboso la se otele binyonja ne mbane ne Tétè Mandjombè II baba nyena nya diele mboko mwa Kemaat Uhuru mboko mwende mboko mwena mwa kotele bana bamboa na bana bena be oboko obwangwa bolana dimbambela sulisi dima na be bolo ba dimbambe be sidima mboko ndeli bele no na Kemaat Uhuru bena mwa kotele bona basubese babe na be wana na babe na be o mwene kombo lende ba wutu ba Marcus Garvey kana ele no pe ba wutu babe na ba biye shekanta job na bane be sebe na ba longi di biye le na di mala ne biso boso le na wenge batu jita ba kwala na ba bende batu ba kemet ba wunde o kemet donc Kemaat Uhuru nyene mboko mena mkotele di lambolese obwambwa wala ne bibila ba Marcus Garvey ba job na bane be se ba Kwame Nkrumah ba be se be na ba bodi ebolo biana bisola yabe wala ne mo o oboso.
So once that's said, we present ourselves. So he is Tétè Mandjombè, the Mwalimu of Kemaat Uhuru, and I am Kouoh Mouanguè, the Deputy Secretary General of
Bear with us, family. Okay, I see we got you back.
Hello?
Yes, we have you back.
Okay, sorry, we faced a technical problem, yes. So as I was saying, we were getting to present to one another, and the brother is Tétè Mandjombè, as you were saying, the Mwalimu of Kemaat Uhuru, and Kouoh Mouanguè, the Deputy General of Kemaat Uhuru. And one of our core objectives is to restore the tradition and the culture of our ancestors. And Kemaat Uhuru is made up of people living here in Cameroon and all over Africa and all over the world who identify themselves as Kemet. And we consider ourselves as inheriting of Marcus Garvey, of Sheikh Anta Diop, and Kwame Nkrumah, and all those ancestors. So they've already set the path, and we are just following up what the job they started years ago.
Na la so ekwala so boso ekwala yende emumbwe neni bambe lena longwa nebin bilaba so on gwemba ngwemba wasu bena di ben no gwenge tengene mbungu neni di malana no bila oboso be bila be na ba Kwame Nkrumah ba dika betote ba Marcus Garvey ba Cheikh Anta Diop ba Lumumba ba Sankara ba bote no iponda di malana sonde moneni na moto asontane angame bia na be mabese be mbutan nikende na oben lambo tedi ben matongo ba tongolena di menene na tongolena isi menene umala pete bila uben bila be menene be bantelele batu bese ba menene ndo bene peso bene bene bende bila bandimsi bila ba muititi.
So to move forward, so we get deeply into what we have to present. We are going to present how the culture, how the tradition, how spirituality can help in the daily struggle, in the daily fight, in the various difficulties that we face in today's world. And this fight, this struggle that Marcus Garvey, that all the other ancestors, Cheikh Anta Diop, Lumumba, have started in the past, and that we are today fighting, how the tradition, how the spirituality can help us to achieve that struggle, to fight that fight.
Kwa dimonsona be mabesela wande ondimsi di wuto ponyola Kemaat Uhuru la topope sonyola Batem-Na-Sim di longi ne Batem-Na-Sim obombo jongwa ne ba bese be na be omweni kombo be na ba ple ojoko di mbambela ba bese be na be omweni kombo be na ba ple sole onjiba obe soka obe tikamba di mbambela su ba bese ba ple biene ni mboa inangano neni mboa elonga beno neni belongisan be weka beno na batu uponda kwam be longisan ba bila neni mboa etano etata momene neni mboa nyabula nona batu ba pepe basi solo hotel.
So once we've talked to you about a little bit about what Kemaat Uhuru is, we will talk to you about Batem-Na-Sim. Batem-Na-Sim is an initiation process, is an organization, is a secret society that we've put into place so as to help those who want to integrate the spiritual part of the struggle. So as to get to know what are how can I put it, what are the arms, what are the weapons that our ancestors used in the past, and how we can integrate it in our daily struggle and our daily fight so as to be successful in the various difficulties we are faced to on a daily basis.
Na lo son tane buam neni mambu ma tumbano nyola ngame uson tane banjaba wiki nyanu banjaba tani punda banjaba lule bibi mapese yana lumala obula nino njeli bino o masomandala minde njese bambe minia njese bambe besoka njese bambe di winye di BLS bambame batano babene bakote mo bawelemo ominia bawelemo omininga nika omiyenge makwa ongosu bawelemo o mabie mapepe na batu basingitemo bawele wema yo bawele sontanena ban batu bataponde babene yene demo ban batu batande batondo ninga ban batu batana ba plate bulalambo badu chande ninga na o sontane so wangende o wala unjiba na usontane yana ekwala bena moto ina nye bwala asima kusa musentomo moto ina nyu simane asima kusa musentomo nde mumumban be bila bobwemba bobotende o masomandala oniponda ngolo kwankwa niponda kwang be bila be botende oteti na do ni kende mwenwa nyamba benga alongi no momene ba ekwala bena yi abusi o madiba na mo alonga mwen o tete na mo mwen o ta bene be pina be nei woi keti bai na mai woi le froid keti le sec mai l'humide et keti le sec woi le froid mai l'humide bon o be pina be nei be sita be weleja o tete na mo mwen nyana longe kane di bino bendina la liboso longe ubendina wane ubendina wane otete na ngo wane oboku na wala ne longe oboso.
So before you get to use these weapons, you get to know how to get use of them. You need first to know how it all started. So how was it designed? What are, according to what we call the Masomandala. The Masomandala is all what regroups the songs, the secrets, the cosmology, the cosmogony of the Sawa culture. How was it organized? What are the secrets? And how was it first in the very first beginning? There was what we can translate as a primordial egg, the time when everything was all united. And this was made up of 4 different particles. And you had the dry, you had Katie, the dry, you had Mai, the humid, you had Woi, the cold, and by the hot, which were the 4 first particles that were fighting, that were all together in that egg. And now we will explain how we move from that, if we can call 0 stage, to the first, to let's say how the creation started from these 4 different elements.
Na oso ntalele ni be mabeta no onikunda wagame biana nyambe nyena bakwali na mo iweke nikane na monde aweke nyambe atande be pena be nenya na mumweni mwena atimbino mumweni mwena inyi atimbino mutande mu bambe be pena be neidi uno kwalea nikende bai la bola wea woi la bola mloloko keti lambole na lanji na waobe peso mai lambole na di sopi bebe mabene be pena bene ndebe nyambe weke mumwen mumende so ojangwa nyana oteten bilabe oten woi alangwe abai na son oisisama basanjita oya otukwa ebedam mai alangwe woi na nika weno wa wisisama basandi tanya ne maplana ibeda mitukwi motute ata apla obe momene otika be momene na di wengisa to wodi sibe mo oteteni onyola di janda sonde la kwala nona botia obe baedi nika ne otete na nyambe weke momene bila beta oteni bila beta otete now.
So as I said before, for you to get to use these different elements, you get to know who is the architect, who is all behind all these different particles. So at the very first beginning, we have to consider that Nyambe Weke, which we can call as the most high, was all these 4 different particles. And as we said before, you had he himself was all these 4 different particles, which are the hot, the dry, the cold, and the cold, the dry, the hot, and the humid. Yeah. So for us to, every single particle wanted to have its own integrity and didn't want it, the Hotep didn't want the dry to influence him, and the humid didn't want the dry to get him dry. Every single particle wanted to keep its own integrity. So that's how this is how the lesson fight began inside egg.
Na mwen mutimba so o jangwa kane ni miole no jene o dinduka mwen mutimba o jangwa mwen mwangu no so ya kwala bena nje ta o tetenwa nde mende timbe nje libino wenge kabelo, les éléments de la nature, nje libino wenge kabelo.
So as there was this fight between all these different particles, all this led to the explosion of the egg, which we, in local language, we call njolo. And the explosion of all these different elements and of all these different four particles led to the creation of what we all know today as the four elements, which we have the earth, fire, water, and air.
Na nyambe weke aye uma apoino atimbino be wenge kanene limongele na mondi a wikibe mabete bwimba buta ande na bepumbeji bani mbowa kama bebe ya na bwimba bwina bwibisoboso lanimo besuwa bena bwibisoboso lanimo bititina di jambusa di kwala na di simana lengele na bima betukwe momene ni bwimba weno bisoboso ika besuwa beno bisoboso ibendi na landimo.
So as the struggle, as the fight, as the difficulty is in front of us, as it has always been since the first beginning, we should not stay and expect things to change if we don't get that, if we don't fight to get the change we are looking for, to get the results, to get for us, the change won't come by its own self. We gotta go to get that. We gotta go to fight to get that fight, as it has always been since the first ever beginning.
La losete ojumwa na otibile je wino nika ya prande kwa na utande odibumla mutu utande odibumla nyongo utate no pi unyama adiba malunge mena mewetete na dibum ndiponda po yina utano wanga membusa ona dibum na obelunge omu wichitinde wapongo no be mabese omana no na okotele be mapaneni kwala beno o mbwa bambame basuba kimet na atum ata aja otete na nun na mo adute akotele be mabese apongane be mabese biana atimba iwe ya yena ya abuse babeleno na we ya abuse ogwa mbwa panya opanyise obola na lunge dibe de wa abochandemo omuichichi kaneni tatan leno otake langa nduti aneni la bola nona dibuse onyamu ichichi dibuse onyamu ndena dibuse onyamu ichichi langame obotia ya omunyama jaki langame botia obambe belongi sanba suba babila opombulanemo omuichichi.
So for us to be able to fight that fight, we have to consider, as we said before, that the fight has always been. So let us picture it as the child which is still in the womb of his mother. And in the womb of his mother, he has some few elements, and those few elements, those few elements are to be considered as the different, the very different element, the different, how can I put it? I mean, all he needs to fight, he gets it already in the womb of his mother for him to survive. Because since as we can see in this picture, before the child gets born, he is as the light in the darkness. And this, as in this image, we have to see, as we see a tomb in the noon before he gets to the light, as at the meditative, at the thinking aspect. So as we are today in the struggle we are in front of today, we have to well prepare the fight. We have to think that fight before we get into it. So as this child in the womb of his mother, as the light in the darkness, before we fight the fight, we have to think, we have to strategize it first before we get into the real fight itself.
Maloba ma di bukala maloba ma pepelemo mama tele mangea di bois mombe di bois manyolao modi mabunso wasengana wei ndei poitele di sola la mom modi mlonte mba wasengana modi ndemu poitele diso na nika mene mpimba mu mala notela me o mombe ma mabane mundu mu mala notela me toi mama la no o telame niponda abene so mombe samba mina matelame apo so onyo di samba ama peso bene mi ba mi pepe mina anongo nginya ni dene nika ende mapo ndi maba ma wase di pondila lubi langi ya bube kaneba bele nomo ndo bene pe dine lina lendi di pondila la longe.
So the 9 different months the baby spent in his mother's womb, it doesn't just stay there and sleep. And all this, I mean, from the 1st to the 9th month, there is a process. So as these 9 months he gets to spend in his mother, he gets each different one has its own, has something new, has something special he brings to the child. Exactly as in the Ennead, we have the 9 divinities are tomb surrounded with the different gods. So every single month should be considered as one specific divinity coming to strengthen the existence of the child in the womb of his mother. So okay. So by the time the child, before the child comes to existence, like visibly, by the time he's still in his mother's womb, on his right eye, he has the divinity of the sun. On the left one, the divinity of the moon, and so on and so forth, up to the 7th month, until at the end, after the 7 months, before he gets to the 8th and the 9th month, the other the two other divinities which will be located, one in the anus and the other one on the sex, all this together will represent somehow the divinities and the 9 different holes we have in the body.
Nginya ya wa o libobe ya wa umisipo ya wa bepolo bese na sole moto muna ondolo muna nika ino dibum nginya ya ucha usolomo sona son o tete na nyulao kana di kwa no way iso de te o di sola nginya o iso de to di sola la mom modi pema solo di sola la di mose nika menende wa bumanona oto ilongo la mom nginya dibobe ngese yimo ya wande otoilongo la mum nginya myanga dupe nginya wasi nya solo nde otoilongo la dimose.
So to move to go forward, on your right here you have the dibobe. The dibobe is the equivalent of is nut, as we have in the Egyptian mythology, and the right one is the force, the divinity of earth.
Nginya yena nya sole oto ila muna ompemba mamuna ompemba mwa onjonga mpemba yempasi ya mom obende nginya dibeleno nangi ngiende nje batete ba yene pasi ba kwankwang o yene pasa keba batabeno na batababele na osa waba mepeso yene pasi nyana diwengisa letete waba mepeso yene pasi nginya yena dibeleno na mukeba nyina nya wende na kwa nginya mpungu nginya bila nginya njea bobe yese ya we mutu iwe ya indene ya dise mutu kwedi nya solo nde we ni pasampemba longe peti solo njese longe njese ye epungwedi pa solo nde oye ni pasi.
So after we got to talk about the 2 eyes, the ears, now let's talk about the nose. On the nose, on the right hole of the nose, you have this force which is called Gi. And Gi here represents Osa. And you have on the left one, another one which we call Mukeba, which is which embeds the power of destruction, which can be compared, which is Set, as we have in the Egyptian mythology. And all that comes from the mouth is life, the forces of life.
Ito Python nimbo mo nyam sono samba nina nya tombe omonya dibobe nyuma be dibobe na omongo maba nya wambwa nyangu ikata nyo ndia mo dibobe eyombo opo ine pasi nje seye mbwam ya wande omundumbu ya solo nde omundumbu ya busapende omundumbu yana iye wa odia na wa banemo omundumbu nde wa seno okasamo.
So talking again about this force you have in the mouth, which is called Nyungu. Nyungu is, let's picture it as a python, as a snake, the 7-colored snake. So whatever, Nyungu is the son of the earth and the sky. So Osa and Nut and Geb. Yeah, Nut and Geb. So before you get on your hands, before you realize you first have to how can I say to you, you have to, it needs to come before you get it in the hands. It starts in the mouth. You have to talk about it, because this nyungu is represents the wealth, the material, the materiality of what you are expecting, what you are looking for in the invisible. So all this, when the child is already, when the child gets born, is full of all these different powers, all these 9 divinities. He talks, he sees, he breathes, he is full of all these different powers. He hears, and after this whole process of the 9th month, by which every single month, every single divinity came to bring in power to make that child to be considered as well born.
Na obi pasiba Afrika dita samba bende lambola bam samba bende lambola bam di wape bende lambola nginya lambola wan nginya di winye nginya.
All these different forces the child gets in from his mother, who carried him for 9 months. It doesn't come from the father. And we talk of 2 different stages. We talk about the 7th, there was a 7th period and the 9th period. 7 here is considered as the perfection, and 9 is the symbol of power.
Muna abene sotena mapondi samba matela memo omulopu. Aminga persona abene mane maba. Di wolende nje di belona di pondila yadi. Di pondila wane yadi di malane lunge po oboso. Inepende di pondila na disi mawane tolambo. Lende di pondila mpungu, di pondila nje sele di belona na ewombe, sterility. Nje se ye ewombe, nje se isi mawane tolambo.
So once all these 7 holes that you find on the head are already open, you have these 2 other holes, one which brings life, and you have the other one which brings. Hello? Can you hear us? Okay, perfect. Yes. So as we said before, and you have 7 holes on your head, and once they're already open, once this faculty to breathe, to talk, to hear, to hear already there, you have another one which brings life at the on the downside. You have one which brings life, and you have the other one which which does not produce life, and which is there to evacuate all the waste, which can also be associated to a power of destruction, of sterility also.
Na manema ba la belende mona ise ende o di mambela su njese nginya nyina nya bolena longibe ise ende kanani batete basuba kwang o kemeto ne babele nona asset monde amanie yadi o dibum o esale utérus monde amane emo o dibum la mutu nde obene pe mnyango ba na nyangombe ende nunye na nyamse njeye na mon ise abambeno nyangombe a nyamse nde lunge ise pe amalande lunge o obosu.
So these two different holes we just talked about, which one is to bring life and the other one is to evacuate the waste, which is the force of sterility, which is a negative force. We call the first one, which brings life, Ise. And Ise is, can you bring it back?
Ise endedi lobale na di malane lunge bosu lobala yadi.
Okay, so Ise is this divinity of fertility, which brings life. And you also have, beside Ise, you have Nyangombe. And Nyangombe is here to destroy, is here to fight, to eradicate.
Ise omo Nyangombe owasi nikanya plaso kwa la na moto abe na mapondi dibuwa. Mutu amende bene mapondi malalo mapepe. Mapondi malalo mapepe mende mabe maba mena amene no kusa mena mende uma eyato. Yato ende di lo balena lo bala mianga di nika ende maternité. Lo balena di malane Ise etena Ise a pongonde lunge a wekande lunge otete na mutu o mbada onya esale l'utérus, les ovaires. Nous ne pas eyato ende no yanyu malane longe oboso ombadinye na monde abambe mabe monde amane mabe monde atate muna yena yabe.
So as Ise brings life, we have Yato. Yes, let me say this way first, because after these 9 holes that you will find in the male and the female has 3 other holes which are represented first at the level of the breast, and at that level that is represented by Eyato, which can be compared to head hero in the Egyptian mythology, and we also Ise brings life, and Eyato pushes to another level. She makes the life to go forward. She ensures durability. She ensures continuity of life.
Abui setemuna nyana monda ben jombela yadi abui setemuna abakende mo eyato na eyato abolemo mabe eyato akokisemuna. C'est pour ça qu'on fait une différence entre la stérilité, la fertilité et la maternité. Okay.
So once Ise gives birth to the child, she gives that child to Eyato, to head Heru, so as head Heru to bring that life to ensure continuity. That's why there's a difference between fertility and maternity. It seems to be one, but they are totally different.
Ndedine loba pel di malan longe bosunyana muna ya mete ya plana ade mabe ni ponda wasingano mabe ma eyato monde mama la ne di longe la no muna obosu ni ponda.
So once the child has come to, once the child is already born, he needs to eat, and Eyato ensures that, if you can say, ensures that job by nurturing the child that's already come to life.
Muto abe soni punda kale di kwa no mumya bene mapundi di boa ba bese ba botende na mapundi di boa muto amaso bene mapundi ma ba mapepe de biana bene mapundi to so ombusa bene mapundi mumi amala bolamo di pondi di pepelina la be di pondi la yadi ni ponda a timbaso mutu nya atande ngonde di amaso timba mutu ni ponda a bene so dumla mapondi na maba wande mutu a petane no mumi nginya ena ya we o misipo nginya ena ya we o singe kosmos nginya ena ya we ya be polo ya solo mutu onyolo bukane ya solo no mumi onyolo.
So the man, I said the men and the women, let's say at a certain level, they all together have 9 holes. But there is one thing which makes I don't know how a young lady, before the young lady becomes a woman, there is a process by which she becomes like she becomes a woman by the time she lost her virginity. And then by these two different other holes makes her, the other holes make her to be become a woman. And by that point, she gains a kind of superiority. She has more connection to the cosmos, more connection to the universe, and that's how she becomes different. That's when this different from the young lady to the woman. That's how the process this is how that process is made up.
Nyana monde a potele longe, monde a yese longe, monde a bole longe. Mutu so ni punda abe no ma pondi malalu wase kana di kwa dino abente ngia lobi ibe no na munyuru abene ngia isali yina muminde adome ningia hotele mo abene ngia isali abene peso ngia misanji ni punda la kwana aben ngia malalu wase abene peso mama ngia maba amina memo o banga nikende abene domla mangia la maba ni punda.
So for a woman to be able to carry life, to ensure continuity of life, she needs to have all these 12 holes, which differs her from a man or a young lady. And at the level of at the level of the sex, she has one hole which is for the urinate, and you have the other one which is open by the man for her to give birth and to be that perfect person to ensure and carry life. Can you people hear us? Can you hear us?
Okay.
Okay.
Mam njeso le bele na mapondi le no kwala le no topo mapondi me pesonde mombe mapondi me ngeya me be polo bena nginya yena ya we odibobe nginya ya we o singenyese o we o modi na bene be lumbese o tete na mapondi nginya ya ro nginya yesonde mapondi me sonde mombe mapondi me ne mangeya ma poni mene mangia mena nginya ya nongono o solo moto unyulu.
So we have to consider all these different holes as doorways, as how can I put it?
Oui, ce sont les tremplins. Mombe.
Let's consider them as doors, as ways by which we receive forces from the universe, forces from the cosmos, and from the different planets, because all these different holes are connected one another to a single planet. So one hole, one planet, one power.
Batujita batopona moto ende bosadi bwa singe bwa misipo bwa nyambe moto microcosme ende bosadi ndijita basi bitele nyanje eno bosadi esone bosadi nyanje nyana bosadi. Okay,
so a man is considered as the microcosm, as the universe in it is considered as a small universe. Many people get to say that the man is the microcosm of the macrocosm, but they are not always able to explain why.
Nyala bina maloba dibua mena dibua di kwanda dibua lende imblananginya au imblananginya maloba mena me oboko me biana mapoti ma solo nginya ya solo moto odutete na nyola o maloba ma jamoto onyola di janda ne bisole no bosadi bwanje ese misipo leno bosadi bwa nyambe ende maloba dibua ma solo moto otete ma jamo o tete na ona nyolo tongya ma mombe dibua dibeno ma solo so tete na moto nika ne moto aya beno.
So why do we say that the man is the microcosm of the macrocosm? All these different holes that we got to we enumerated are forces of the universe, of the planet, which seems to be very far from us, but we have them all in us. So that's why we consider the human being as the microcosm of all these different forces that already exist and that seems to be external, but are also present in the human body. And all these forces passes through the doorways to make a man to be completed and to become what makes a man to be a god, to be a divinity.
Mamombe di boaso muna ayabe ayaba so mamombe di boa matirame batubo etena bulobe to bibo ampona muna tono kitena di bom babongo nyango bwam bapongi be bolo balum lerit numuna mamombe matirame bwam bane prebe na basi bodi to lambo badi mande ponda yadi ponda deme mamombe masimende otilame bwam onyari jandande labo tiano pete osongele miya dibua biana labo lanumuna dina.
So by the time the child is still in his mother's womb, these different there is a couple of ritual through which the mother has to go for these holes, for these doorways to be open. And once this is well done, once the child has come to existence on this world, before there is a period of 9 days that we have to respect before we attribute a name to that child. You have to, people should pay attention on that number 9, 9 months in the world, 9 holes representing the 9 gods of the UNIA, Atum, and all other 9 deities and divinity, 9 other days to spend before we give a name, a project to that child.
Mimia di buamuna tumsenobiana da bulamodina bunyate la bele lo badiwo nadile nyulu isole numuna otetem dibemba kina obo mbunya ba buso we isodi obo mbunya bilonde mi ba modi musodi na nika ni ponda dibina akati temia samba apona temia diboa la boisson nyengeli bolango dina di la kwaso ni pona na atitipa we passa bambambe we passa bedino ande na batu uyene pasi.
So after these 9 days that we made sure that the child has received the power of the sun, the power of the moon, we now set a ritual at that 9th sun in this new world, making it
We lost him again.
We back. He's on mute. Baba, you're on mute. You're on mute, Baba. You're on mute.
Unmute yourself.
He got it.
Is it good now?
Yes.
Mimia dibua muna dimengele no biana la bola muna dina dilie batu bese muna na batu basumbise bakase muna mende mnyamena dibino na muna anga mebe mulati so connecté anga be mulati na maloba dibua dibe mbaki na maloba dibua mewa bane pe ba kwala na muna anga mbe mulati na bambambe dibua bambambe ba dibua ikaba mama batanu na bapapa banele bena baboki seye pour baboki se mboa eno uyabe.
So these 9 days we have to observe before we give the name to children. Those 9 days we make sure that all these 9 divinities, all these 9 forces he was supposed to come with from his mother's womb, he effectively got them. And these 9 days, this ritual which is being executed, that's the day number 9, is to make sure, is to connect that child first to the divinities, but also first to his ancestors, 5 from the mother's side and 4 from his father's side, and all these 9 ancestors which that presided this child on this earth. That day is a connection day to divinities and ancestors, so as to install him, so as to make it stand up on his ancestors and divinities' land.
Muna ayabe sotenika di bula modina di bonito modina di mengena ako kesoni oni ponda kwa so batande bakwala na upoite domlambu na minei wa solo so opamba ubombo wala juko mumipe ke dikwande muto ombu dibua mbu samba solo opamba mumipe solo ne pamba mbu dibua adate mbu dibua mpepe kane muto pa janote mbu samba ubombo bulanje ubombo jokwa be mumi to muto.
So once the child has already acquired name, we wait a certain period so as to move the process, to move the process from being a child to become a man or a woman. So we respect a period of 7 years for the girls and 9 years for the men to enter into secret societies so as to learn how to become a man and how to become a woman.
Mutu asolonge mbusa ambanya na ikwala bena mutu imba mebuka mumi. Mutu aben dinya buka mumi. Tonika nyolo imali enonika mutu imba mebuka mu aben dinya buka mumi na mutu amaba mbedime. Mutu amaibene ameja wasi niponda eno otaka imba mebuka mumi. Mumi ebe mbi mabese. Ikwala bena wabote mumina abambedeme longeli membende bobu nyamene. Wabote mumina aje wasi longeli membende bunyamene nde mutu aben ningudi ninginya nyawe mutunga na mapondi domna pondi na waba ninginya ese ya bolamona abambenginya tobo abambenginya odi ngisa na mumina nye wadi muna mutu nambu samba asolo opamba mumi ba mengepete mbumba mpepe biana ba mimiamo opamba.
So the little girl of 7 years will enter the initiative society for passage rituals so as to become a woman. She enters at the age of 7 and the boy will have to wait 2 years before he enters there. Why does the young lady, the young girl, the young little girl, 7 years old girl enters earlier? Is because she, though it is not yet visible that she is stronger, we know that she is stronger than the men, because it's through that process that we prepare the open up of the other holes of fertility and maternity. We prepare it before the man, because she has more power, she has more forces to carry life and to ensure continuity and durability of life.
Oni ponda sobe na upamba ba maaju kwa be madita. Mutu amokwa jipe, mutu amokwa mbangu, amokwa be madita, amokwa bongo ambia. Neni ba bungwano muni, neni ba bungwano bana, neni ba bungwano biamwa msusu. Muipa maaju kwa ba obi mawipepe bina bindi, kabibulu bina amende nobula, umbusa, mobusa, o pamba. Pamba yendeka neni wenge la abile nuna iskulu. Ndeka le iskuda lunge ya suya ibambe.
So back in the days, we had what we call pamba. Pamba is it can be considered as what we call today school. But that school was a school of life. So the woman will enter that school to learn how to cook food, how to take care of a man, take care of the children, take care of people and the whole community, the family, the whole community. And the man also had to enter to the Pamba 2 years later than the 2 years after the man, the woman, the young 7-year-old ladies. By that time, the young boy has 9 years, and he gets there to learn all what is necessary to make him stand, to enable him to survive as a man. So that is the how can I put it? It's this is the very essence of this Pamba. It seems to be is a school, but there is one which is specialized for women and another one which is specialized for men.
mbola batu bongele na mutu nyana monde amokwe jipe nikende ebola bobe ebolo isadi ebolo na ya bolena atibe kamkom kem nu nyana numipe omboasu emonya buka nu nyana waneda nyana nu nyana numipe nde abole nu nyana waneda lunge na abelunge mwanya na monde amipe mutu tongya na mapondi ma mombe ma domla mombe na mababe no nyulu aba menginya tobo yena so isene oda ke amipe.
So the fact that the woman embeds this responsibility to cook does not minor the role of a woman in a couple, because as she carried these 12 divinities, these 12 forces, and the man who was going to hustle, to fight, to bring back something they eat, is through these 12 different forces, these 12 holes, these 12 powers that she inserts in the food the man has brought, so as to ensure and to bring the life forward.
Mumia mi peno, disi mende be kadali na mutu ami peno. Da mumia mi peno, lende da lewa nika. Nde da mutu I peno. Ata pino na mama u, abola mo yinginya, yena yemo o unyola u. Mumi na abi ebola bebe ma angande wala ojo kwa moto botobo. Nde mutu aben, abambe bebe ma unyola u, bina ba bolena, nika yeno tapa dida, nde bola dida nginya.
So, food which is prepared by a man and food which is prepared by a woman can't be the same, because the fact that, I mean, these 12 powers, these 12 forces that the woman carries in her body, she inserted it in the food by touching it, by mixing all these different spices, which a man will never ever be able to bring in the food. So we got to talk about the visible and the invisible, and we first stated that the food cooked by a man and the food cooked by a woman can't be the same. So this food cooked by the woman, that these 12 forces brings that invisible power, that power from the invisible, which the man can't bring to the food.
Na ateme wonja tengenenge mbongo beno ubola ne momi miamese ima kwa peso to mi miamese yana yekwa de eminda buka ukulambu loba.
So we will go on with this topic we are to share today, sharing the
mala utopia neni moto atimbano moto.
We will talk of how a man becomes a man, so he is able to fight the struggle, how to fight the struggle, the enemy forces that he's facing, not only today, but this struggle that has started about 3,000 years ago. So as to stand strong into the in today's world. We said that everything which is in the visible comes from the darkness, from the invisible.
babele mona na scénario de passage moto alo ojokwa obe motu ba noki semonika ba le mo mambo ba bola mo bema ba le mo na elongela ngame no obe nde atimbaso moto toso mumi nya londe mbom un homme plein to pe oyo e participer atimbaso no mutu ina ba minge nona nika ekumbo eminga nona abambelonge ala na longe boso na nika na nika.
So this coming back to what the role of the Pamba, which is the initiatic school, the school of life, which the men and the women have to go through on one hand to bring in life, to ensure continuity of that life, and the men to care, to protect.
Moto angame so obiana abambe nginya di boa muto pe abambe domla nginya na iba domla maluba maluba wa unyulao.
So to repeat again what we've already said, that a man carries 9 forces and the women carries 12 forces.
Na obiye obolanemo, na obiye odangwanemo, na obiye o bele inginya. Otete nangona o eboko nyana ye oboko yepe o otete. Na obiye obolanika. Wangame o wala ojokwa obolanika.
So for you to be able to make use of these 9 forces, you got to go to the Pamba so as to make these apparently out of the body forces, to make it yours, to know how to make use of it, to know to first get conscious of them and to know how to invoke and use them.
Waso wenge munda mutu obi njese babatu mbungu ba bola no otenge biso botia ni ponda biso la sumeno okemet ni kende bibwa mbobe tano na mwaba na bitano 525 moins 525 ni ponda la sumeno okemet na biso li botia siba opo o Soudan la wo Ethiopie ti solo au Congo bien la popé ou malino wenge ni kende au Cameroun moto angame biana bobwemba mona monde bwe nyese biso mila bobwemba mona monde bwe bole biso iso dino di koma esclavage biana la poso onyamu mundi mwa sumwa mwa Cameroun ebolo eso ninge ebolo na moto angame bia njaino asibite njaino atitina ala onyabu bwemba la lutte.
Okay. So for this, from the time where we left Kemet until we reach this area called today Cameroon, passing through the Mafa and the Mangamzi period that we faced throughout the story, is because we made use of these secrets, of this knowledge, of this know-how, that up to date we are still alive, that we've been able to survive through all these different struggles we've been facing throughout the story, the history. So before you are able to use these forces, you need to be taught specific courses, specific lessons to master them.
Ya aprende bisona di bene mbolo, ya aprende bisona di bene ngadi, ya aprende bisona di longe mange, ya aprende bisona ne nanane, ba mumbre ande bima bantelele. Bana baba dimbiana, biana wa bene bibima, wangame wasa oko wamo, wasamo, o ndimsi yana umabe nemo o undelele.
So, contrary to what people may say today, that for us to be able to fight our fight, that we need to make money, we need to have weapons, we need to build up roads. They forget that there is first an invisible part of the story that you need, of the struggle that you need to prepare before you get into that visible fight. If you don't know how you've been constituted, how you've been built up, there's nothing you can do.
Sonja obe mbidi obe sonja yena ni male jane nyola ikumbwango nyola mbwango nyola tumbalongo nyola kamanyese nyana wa bia obola ne bebema so babu chande na nje babu chande na di njokwala di mbambele na la lewa neni wa beno mulatina bidimo bongo mbambe bongo maloba mongo na njeyeseye misipo.
So, as we said first before, you can't fight that fight if you don't get to know first who you are. So, in this Pamba, you will get to know how to get connected to these divinities, to your ancestors, to your the death community, or the death of your community. You need to get a connection and have all the secrets in that Pamba to be able to fight the fights, to be to become a warrior. The first one, you get to know who were your ancestors, who your ancestors were in terms of genealogy. Like I am, let's say, if I have to give mine, I am Kouoh, son of Mouanguè, son of Sopo, son of Ibambe, etc., etc. Yeah. You also have to know the different realization, the different stories of the history of your family. You have to also know the history of, as Foundation used to state it, not the history, but our story. Not his story, but our story.
Obi nje batano babola babodi neni na babuse babelunge babodi neni na ponda bobwimba bwino babo bwino otengene babo babodi neni na babelunge nyanje babese basi wedino.
So you get to know yourself, you get to know your ancestor, you need to get to know how your ancestors got to survive throughout the different difficulties they went through, be it the Mafa, the Mangamizi, during discolonialization, and all these white power structure, these organizations, how they got to know what was their know-how to be still alive today, to survive today. So those who were, at the end of the day, who were able to survive were those who succeeded to be connected to the ancestors, connected to the divinities, connected to the universe, connected to the cosmos.
bia ndanda ngoyambia obia miangomo ngomambia nde obia pe odise na nyose na botise na pongulane na bongwa bambambe bongo.
So once you already know who you are, where you come from, identify yourself by your genealogy, you need to know how to feed, how to make the libations, how to organize your sanctuary, your sanctuary, and like how to take care of your ancestors.
Bambambe kaneni wamene mutabina mawino babambende belobine batandi belobine bende belobine wa bongwa sonde babo na da na benyon boisson wa bongwa babo na wea wa bongwa babo na benumba wa bola babo njeyese yena babo momene beno to sobatanu na bembialana etena epolo oma sobeno wenge ye muititi. We are in none. You know what we do say.
Brothers, we have about 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes remaining.
What?
Okay.
If you want to bring a close to it, it's been excellent so far. But if you want to bring a close to it, it's gonna end automatically in about 10 minutes from now. So we wanna wrap it up. Okay.
So once you already know how to, I mean, you get to understand that we made of the 4 elements. Our ancestors were made of the 4 elements. So when you get to feed them, when you get to give them when you get to do libations, when you get to give them to light a candle or to light incense, to burn incense, you are constituting back all these 4 elements that were there in the first beginning. So you wake them up because you feed them up. You regenerated these 4 elements. They've been made up, and that they are still made up in the other side. So we have to understand that when we give them food, it is not the food itself, but the energy inside the food that we nurture them with.
Now
sometimes you see in your dreams one of maybe your parent of your great-grandfather who comes to your dream, and he looks like feeling cold, or he is not able to see. By that time, you should get to know that you should light a candle so as to bring him to bring light, and also to make him warmer.
Niponda wabia pena uma eno wo yembe benumba yembe enumba bobe yembe esimala asima wele suwa ewe na wawo iseso odiseso benumba owana.
So by the time you get to light the incense, is to make the environment where he lives smell nicer, to get the how can I put it, I mean, what all around is smelling bad to get away.
Niponda peweno obola bebema wende sumwa yiwinye la bebema olomia momo.
So by the time you give all those 4 elements, you are taking out the energy of the food, the liquor, the water, and the candle or whatever to transfer it to him.
Onipona sombambango
So by this time, then you fitted your ancestor with all the power and the forces he needs to bring help and to fight. So once you're, I mean, the same that happens with the ancestor is the same that happened with the divinity, and we have specific divinity for war. So as we just said, we have specific divinities that help fight. As we have in the Yoruba, we have Shango. We have here one which is called Sikinjolo, is a divinity of the thunder, the same as the Yoruba have, and they are the one, they are your partners, they are your associates whenever you go to fight. You also have Mangila, which is a divinity that lives in the water, is the general of the armed forces in the water, is a lion living in the water. So we have to integrate that. If we don't call, we don't convocate them, they can't help. So if you don't convocate them, if you don't feed them, if you don't do whatever or all which is necessary, they won't come and help. We have what I don't know how to put it in English. In French, we call it fetish. I don't know if you ever seen the amulets, like the amulets. I mean these objects that are charged and that are charged, and they are there is power which is transferred to those objects to bring help whenever you are in danger. So the time which is left is not enough to develop more, but what we have to know is that we as Black people, we have our ancestors, we have our divinities, and if we don't call them, they will never ever come and help, because this is only what they are waiting for. They are almost begging for us to bring help.
Isimende okusamoto bunyanyana amengande bisona diteme didangwe yana bape badangwa biso ombusa.
So for us to be able to reach this Kouoh Mouanguè, to reach this Renaissance, we have to make them our sorry.
Dison tampena nginya nyatukwa ibeidao, la force qui se polarise, qui change de forme, tout simplement. Nginya tukwa ibeidao nyabolana wenge nyimadiba kiele nyengo bone bunyanyi nyangadu nika na nika nadibe mulatina inginya ina ya tukwe langa mpia udese babo langa mpebia na bebe mabese bebiso otete na manyolo masu nyani kandela akona lebe sona maluba.
Okay, so we have to integrate the fact that we are divinities and forces are dynamic. It can be what is water today can be fire tomorrow, can be air tomorrow. So we have to constantly feed our ancestors and our divinities with all these 4 different elements so as to be able to master the power, to make it always available, to make them always present.
Disom binyo jita nyola na miolewa Garvey bisobese owana di binja atano babe na be unyamu wasu babe na be ubila ba Garvey babe na ba play nambo iteme wonja tungyara betele di bele di ba Marcus Garvey babe sebe na be unyani ngea dititi eyeka ndele wenge batube opo unyamu sula be obata unyamu longwa suma mwabila.
So we have to know, I mean, all of us, we are working on the ways paved by Marcus Garvey and all the other ancestors that precede us in this fight. We have to integrate that we cannot fight that fight if we put our forces, our divinities, our ancestors aside. We have to get connected to make one with all those to stand strong.
Sonja abene batu bena ba bena mo yan inginya ese ba mbambe bese ba mende bena mo obwangwa sunga kama osubwangwa sunga Africa.
So we will end up this presentation by these words of Marcus Garvey. He gave to this letter he wrote by the time he went to the prison of Atlanta, saying that when he will come back as a whirlwind, he will come back as a storm, he will come back with all this slave and all our ancestors that got to perish during this Mahafa period. And whenever we will face all this struggle, all these difficulties, he will be part of us. He will be our partner for on a single day. And we just have to know that this power, this divinity, this ancestor are all available, and they're just begging, they're just waiting for us to call them. We thank you.